Live your life as though your every act were to become a universal law. The two things I value most are logic and honesty, and they're often at odds with each other. Always recognize that human individuals are ends, and do not use them as means to your end. Science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge. Science is always discovering new things about the universe, but it will never know everything. The study of science is not about being able to memorize facts, but about being able to think critically. We can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals. Science is the systematic organization of knowledge obtained through observation and experiment. Morality is not the inclination to obey certain laws, but the consciousness of an obligation to obey them. Science is not a perfect instrument, but it is a tool that can be improved with time. Science is a great servant, but a poor master. The understanding of science is not the same as the understanding of the world. The happy life is not the same as the moral life, but the moral life is necessary for the happy life. Happiness is not an ideal of reason, but of imagination. The only way to live a good life is to act according to the moral law. The meaning of life is to give life a meaning. Morality is the foundation of all social progress and the highest expression of human dignity. We should not live merely to satisfy our own personal desires, but to contribute to the greater good of humanity. Life is not easy, but it is worth the effort. Morality is not the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. The aim of life is to live, and to live means to be aware, joyously, drunkenly, serenely, divinely aware. Life is a journey, and we are all travelers on the road. Morality is not properly the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness. Morality is not the result of a commandment, but a commandment is the result of morality. Morality is not a matter of sentiments, but of principles. Life is full of challenges, but it is how we respond to those challenges that defines us. Morality is not a means to happiness, but happiness is a means to morality. Morality is the relation of actions to the autonomy of the will. Morality requires us to treat others as ends in themselves, never merely as means to our own ends. Morality is the highest achievement of the human spirit, the culmination of our rational and moral capacities. Life is a precious gift, and we must make the most of it. We should never forget that life is finite, and that every moment is precious. Morality is not a matter of personal opinion, but of objective truth. The two great dividers are the understanding and the reason. The former divides by categories, the latter by ideas. Two things fill the mind with ever-increasing wonder and awe, the more often and the more intensely the mind of thought is drawn to them: the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. Reason itself is sufficient to recognize the superiority of morality over everything else. Reason is the organ of truth, but imagination is the organ of meaning. All thought must, directly or indirectly, by way of certain characters, relate ultimately to intuitions, and therefore, with us, to sensibility, because in no other way can an object be given to us. Thoughts without content are empty, intuitions without concepts are blind. Human reason is by nature architectonic. Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-incurred immaturity. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. Logic is the instrument of thought. Logic is a systematic method of coming to the wrong conclusion with confidence. Logic is the science of the necessary laws of the understanding and of reason itself. The greatest and perhaps the only use of all philosophy of pure reason is, after all, merely negative, since it serves not as an organon for the enlargement of knowledge, but as a discipline for its delimitation. Logic is concerned with the form rather than the content of knowledge. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. The understanding can intuit nothing, the senses can think nothing. Only through their union can knowledge arise. All empirical knowledge, and all knowledge of matters of fact, is derived from experience. By logic, we understand the art of thinking and of judging well, and of preserving the order of our thoughts and our judgments. The logical unity of concepts is based on the unity of the consciousness that intuits them. Concepts without percepts are empty, percepts without concepts are blind. The existence of logical laws and concepts can be neither demonstrated nor disproven, but is simply a presupposition of all knowledge. Science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Science is the knowledge of phenomena, not things in themselves. Science is the business of the understanding, not of the imagination. All science begins with experience, but not all experience leads to science. The science of nature has for its object the phenomena of nature, not things in themselves. Science is a great thing, but it does not have all the answers. Science is organized common sense where many a beautiful theory was killed by an ugly fact. Science is nothing but the refinement of everyday thinking. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. Enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-incurred immaturity. All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason. Experience without theory is blind, but theory without experience is mere intellectual play. A person is only a person when he has the power to make his own decisions. Act only according to that maxim whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become a universal law. Rules for happiness: something to do, someone to love, something to hope for. A good will is good not because of what it performs or effects, not by its aptness for the attainment of some proposed end, but simply by virtue of the volition. All men, without exception, are born for the love of God and of their neighbor. The starry sky above me and the moral law within me. I had therefore to remove knowledge, in order to make room for belief. There is nothing higher than reason. God's will is the final end of all things. God is the only being who is sufficient unto himself, and who owes nothing to any other being.